popular and established right now is the one that is that was the outcome of the Western um, the the Western na processes, including the social revolutions that erupted in Europe and Americas. So that gave to the formal Declaration of Human Rights as enshrined in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights of the United Nations. But in other areas, aside from the document that was produced after the Americans expelled the British during their War of Independence, which na-produce sa unsa to ang the American Constitution, the Independence, so ano yung pangalan na to officially, the Declaration of Independence, which contained the Bill of Rights. Later in another social revolt, this time in France, nanulong to mga peasants sa Bastille, and as out of that, they produced the rights of man and citizen. So on and so forth, that will produce the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which we will be celebrating again on December 10. It's also cross-cultural, obviously, for the same reason that this was produced in different areas, in different national contexts. While that was happening in Europe and in the Americas, we know that there is such a thing as the opposing slavery, recognizing the rights and parity for all individuals. Declaration, our ancestors were already fighting for what they perceived was the foreign intervention in their own development, from their own prosperity. So nadya sila Pulapo, then sila Tamblot, si Magat Salamat. So they are also inspired by their own tradition, by their own cultural norms. What we see is right. So that's human rights. Now nagakuan siya, usab siya, pero interestingly, all of this come together og we accepted na sige mo pailawom ta aning Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which now is firmly established. Sige. So based on that document, it recognizes that money principles based from that document na human rights daw, they are independent, you cannot remove one without affecting the other, and the realization of one means you have to realize all. Okay. Human rights, contrary to what the government is popularizing, pertains only to the relationship between the citizen and the government. So atong i-clarify daan before we proceed na your neighbor cannot commit human rights violation. When we talk of human rights violation, this refers to the acts of the agents of the state. As the United Nations has so defined, human rights are a set of guarantees against the abuses of the state. So, mura ganyan ang definition. Because the state is so powerful, the state must be guarded. The state must be disempowered by some of those power. No, kung sa Cebuano pag mao nang kagamhanan atong tawag kay dagan man siya gahom. So kinahanglan tangtangan siya gahom, kinahanglan i-limit iyang gahom. So ano tong limit? So sa atong Bill of Rights, after the Declaration of Principles, Article 3 dayon, na dayon tayo Bill of Rights na naglimit sa unsa ray pwede himuon sa government in the name of the people. You cannot do this, you cannot do that. You can arrest, but dapat na ay due process. Okay. So mo nang concept sa human rights. So we now proceed to, okay. I'm clarifying that because of those character of human rights, it can also be changed. And Digong was trying to do that when he introduced na drug users, they have no human rights because they're not humans. Sige. Kini nga statements. So these are designed to denigrate the very concept of human rights. Okay. So pwede din siya mausab kung dili nato bantayan. Okay. Okay, sige. So, okay. So this is my framework in my discussion, okay, that the human rights is a product of the military, directly by the military apparatuses of the state, but that military apparatus is only an extension of the authoritarian policies of the government or of the state, which is by nature fascist. So di na mag-discuss what is fascism. Okay, that may be covered by your lessons in your other subjects. Sige, go. Ang atong i-contextualize ang human rights as declare mo ganiha nga it's historical and on these situations of the Philippines. So ang economic situation, this is the context of our human rights situation. In short, nagkalisod ang katawhan. Okay. That is the figure on the on unemployment. Di na ako basahon na, magbasa naman po na ninyo. And this is the record of the underemployment. So when every time the government claims that this is this and that, actually we are they're only referring to those without a clear security of tenure. Walay mga benefits, etc., etc. Sige. Okay. So in Central Visayas, this is the minimum wage of the workers if they are so lucky to have been employed. 435 with the increase of 15 pesos na this year. But kung dito mo sa rural areas, agricultural areas, that's only 425. This is this is the nominal value. The real value depende sa inflation rate. Kung unsa ang buying power sa peso karon. Okay? The truth is, walay livelihood enough for the rest of the population. So this data is from the social weather station na ni-decrease from 2.1 million in June 22 to 21. Increase siya gamay to 21.6 million in June 2023. Out of how many labor force of the Filipinos. Sige. Mo to silang ni-declare nga we're poor. And in light of that, mo na yung mga maneuvers sa government on the confidential and intel funds, gipulihan pero gibalhin lang po sila sa laing line items. So, okay. And the country continues to be subservient to the policies of powerful countries, most especially the US. So our policies, economic policies, are subservient to what the dictates of these powerful countries. Okay. And finally, our government is militarized. The policies that our government implements are in katong gimension sa ganiha nga these are product of authoritarian apparatus, and one of that orchestrate everything right now is the NTF LCAC na nag-celebrate silang anniversary by the way yesterday. Okay. Mora na akong coverage sa akong data, Negro, Cebu, Bohol. So there are two sources of human rights violation based on our data, and that is one, the war on terror, and the other is the drug war. So mara siya ang sources of human rights violations in the Philippines, particularly sa Central Visayas. So unang the war on terror, okay. So tagsa-tagsaon sa war on terror, this is the general trend, particularly in Central Visayas. It starts with mga harassment lang, mga text threats, red tagging, and then it graduates to physical attacks. So it's important na at this point palang daan, dapat ma-prostrate na siya. And what's the best way to expose harassment and human rights violation is by opposing it and using all available space to find redress, be that be in the barangay level, sa mayor, kung dili kaya mo at police para magpa-blatter. And of course, the ever present sa sa digital na platform. Okay. Sige, okay. So this is the most common, ang red tagging. It's so easy to do. So that's why they're using it, ang mga agents of the state. Okay. There are some of the examples of those mga red tagging na the old style, the old school, nga magpapilit-papilit pa ka. So these were recovered under the overpass o sa Mandaue, sa may Subang Dako. Okay. Katugani ang red tag ato ng organization this time here, ang red tag are mga personalities. So ang nasa picture diri is the ang chairperson of Bayan Central Visayas, and the other one there, that's also the spokesperson of Kadamay here in Cebu. And si Jaime Paglinawan of Sugbo kay MU sa diri sa Cebu. So kana mga individuals. Okay. So direct victims of the oppression of mga direct attacks at the height of COVID, si Elena Tihamo in the in Bantayan Island, and the victims of political persecution for organizing the communities. Ang usa is si CJ Matarlo, a graduate of UP and currently detained in Negros. Sige. So right now, na ay upat ka political prisoners diri sa Cebu, 13 in Bohol, and 87 in Negros Oriental. So these are those who are falsely charged with trap-up cases. Mostly illegal possession, kay mo pinakadali, no? Plantihan lang nimo og mga bala or granada. Okay. On the national level, mo ang number of mga political prisoners. There are almost 800 political prisoners all over the Philippines. Ako nang dalion, kay running out of time. So, brief breakdown sa human rights violation diri sa Central Visayas. Mostly are mga harassment and threats. That kinitong mga documented for this year. Hopefully, against hope na dili na mudaghan pero nagkadaghan. And the latest, although nyawa diri, is the demolition of Bangkal in Lapu-Lapu City, where some 30 families were kanang dislocated from their homes, and 7 individuals, protesters, were arrested, although subsequently released due to their continuing campaign for against the right to protest. Okay. So of November, mo ni ang updated na data on the number and forms of human rights violations in the entire country. Take note of the 552 cases of forced or fake surrenderers. These are people who are lined up as NPAs, terrorists, uban pa, and they're broadcasted sa SMNI, and then forced to make up stories na how they were arrested and how they kanang how they enacted mga terrorist so-called activities. So never before has this grown such a big number. And then kada mga aerial and artillery bombings. There are 22,391 individuals who were affected. The worst is the 87 cases of extrajudicial killings from July 2022 to November 2023. Okay? So that is the one source of the human rights violation. The other is the continuing war on drugs. It's not anymore called Tukhang, it's called BIDA ni Bongbong. BIDA stands for Bayan, Buhay, Ingatan, Droga, Ayawan. BIDA. BIDA, sa Bisaya, that's BIDA. Okay, sige. At the height of Tukhang, one of those who were killed here in Cebu is si Butch. He's the organizer of the Rise Up, and he was shot on the back while sitting in a multi-cab sa Marigondon, Lapu-Lapu. Okay? Another feature of another face of the victims of Tukhang is Skyler sa Ermita. He's 4-year-old. He was just inside the house playing. Some say nagduwa sa iyang cellphone when the bullet went through the thin wall and into his chest. He died on the spot. And the po nila na sila nakapusil, nag-sorry sila sa mga tao, nga niagian nila while they carried the body outside. Only the next day, in 2018, they declared na ang regional commander diri nag-ingon na dili sila nakapusil. It was a firefight. They don't know kinsa jud ang nakaigo. So the case is now pending before the ombudsman. Okay. Right now, there are 342 drug-related killings, and 115 are committed by state agents. This kining 115 mo ang giangkon jud sa police nga sila ang ni commit. The rest are kato mga vigilante style, mga riding in tandem, mga anonymous na mga mga operations. Okay. These are the forms, dila nato ni discuss, of the counter-insurgency operation, the terror war, and ang next ani are the forms also of attacks during the conduct of the war on drugs. Both have the similarity in the raid of homes and the planting of evidences against the individuals. And then the red tagging. Sa drugs, it's the ang pagtawag sa house owner as addict or kanang pusher, while kato mga victims sa terror war are being tagged as members sa sa mga communist fronts and terrorist organizations. Okay. So, motto in a passing the human rights situation sa Philippines and sa Central Visayas, what we can do right now, there are efforts na ipasar repeatedly. This has been done sa Congress to pass this kining Human Rights Defenders Bill. Hopefully this time makuha na gid siya, ma-pass na siya with support from the sa congressional na leadership who has been trying to court the support of the left in their intramurals right now with the sa mga no, sa allies ni Duterte. You must have noticed in the news nga na ay rift between the sa love affair ni Bongbong o ni Sara, and ang forces ni Bongbong are trying to win over that. They have offered to resume the of the peace talks, hatag og amnesty. I don't know how will that entice their armed enemies, but they have offered court that the government is now studying the possibility na to assist the ICC investigators once they come here to arrest Digong. No, not to arrest Digong, but to conduct their investigation. Okay? So, ang challenge na to is, in spite of all these violations, is to assert human rights, and the best way to assert human rights is to paninglan those in power, ilahang responsibilities, gawas sa pag-ato aning lugar, na kusog kay sounds. So, that's it. And thank you.
Thank you, Sir Dennis, for that thought-provoking session. Indeed, the situationer was able to shed light on the human right landscape, especially here in Cebu.
No, thus we were also able to realize that these attacks are not only isolated amongst those field of defending our human rights, and as well as those who are peace-loving individuals, but we too as students are experiencing varying challenges. Thus, it is high time that we also discuss our local issues and campaigns here in UP Cebu.
So, the UP Cebu University Student Council has long been committed to collating our lived experiences and unifying our demands from our sensing forms, our student consultation, and various interaction with our constituents. So, kinsa diri ang naka-answer sa sensing form from the council? So, isang kamot. Kinsa yung naka-try diri sa student consultation, especially for our academic-based or interest-based organization? Diba?
So we've done multiple build-up activities for this student summit, beginning from months ago when we conducted student consultations with our interest-based organizations, as well as the sensing for. And earlier this week, we also conducted student consultations with our student athletes who are newly inducted through the VAAS program, as well as those who are part of the varsity program. And with these experiences in mind, we are here to finally present the UP Cebu situationer of our local issues and campaigns. With the help of the Education and Research Committee, we are here to discuss these matters more comprehensively.
So help me welcome our Councilor, Phil Emmanuel Aquino, and our College of Science representative, Grover Perez.
So, isang magiting po na hapon sa inyo lahat. Char. So, let's go. So, bago po kami magsimula, so kilala ko lang po muna kung sino kami. So, ako po si Grover Perez, ang kasalukuyang College of Science representative. At
Good afternoon. Ako naman si Phil Emmanuel Aquino, yung current counselor at Education and Research Head, kasama si Grover.
yes, so yun. Pwede pa balik sa slide. So, bago po kami magsimula, no, so inform po lang, to give background lang po, throughout the semester, nakapagsagawa po ng iba't ibang mga consultations at nakapag-disseminate ng iba't ibang sensing forms ang University Student Council sa ating student body at sa iba't ibang student sectors dito sa ating university. So, Ngayon, amin po ipapakita sa inyo kung ano ang mga datos at impormasyon na amin nakalap mula sa mga konsultasyon at sensing forms na ito. So, with that, I'll be giving the overview of our topics. So, una, introduction, overview of the student organizations, the key issues and challenges of our student organizations and our athletes, and the general student body insights galing sa ating town hall sensing form, tapos ang greater student demands of tertiary institutions in Cebu City, tapos yung proposed resolutions and requests ng ating student body, at engagement and collaboration na points, tsaka yung conclusion. So next slide please. So with that, next slide. So, ito po yung rundown ng UP Cebu population. So, currently sa ating university, we have 1,731 students. So, ito po yung pagkakahati-hati sa kanila sa 4 na colleges. So, ang College of Science ay may pinakamalaking porsyento ng ating university student body. Next naman yung College of Communication, Arts and Design. Tapos yung College of Social Sciences. Tapos yung School of Management. So, next slide please. Tapos, papakita din namin sa inyo kung ano yung structure ng ating mga student organizations dito sa ating university. So, next slide. So, we have 12 academic-based organizations and federations. So, ito pong mga organizations and federations na nag-o-oversee at nagmamanage sa ating mga student body on different colleges and different programs. So next slide. So for the College of Communication, Arts and Design, we have the Arts Confederation, tapos yung organizations nila, yung ComUp, tsaka yung FAS. So next slide. Tapos dito naman sa College of Science with 5 ACAD-based organizations and federations. Yung Sciences Federation yung nag-oversee, tapos yung Computer Science Guild, yung Ecological Society, yung Math Major Circle, tapos yung UP Statistical Society. Next slide. Tapos sa CSS naman, College of Social Science, we have the Social Sciences Federation, tapos yung UP Psychology Majors Association, UPSIMA, tapos yung UP Political Science Society. So next. Tapos for the School of Management naman, we have yung Management Circle. So next slide. So on the other hand naman, meron din po yung university ng 26 active non-academic-based organization. So, next slide. So, meron po kami iba't ibang kategorya ng mga non-academic-based student organizations. So, we have interest-based organizations. So, ito po sila yung nagkikater sa mga interest tsaka mga talents ng ating mga UPC constituents kasama ng ACT UP, DOST sa UP, yung Idea Lab, yung Tinta, yung Lantugi, yung Nichibonken, ang Gabay Isko, tapos yung UP Pre-Medical Society. So, next slide. Tapos meron din pong mga sports organizations, yung UP Ultimate Frisbee Organization, tapos yung UP Chess Club. Tapos sila yung magpo-promote at nagmamanage ng mga sports events related na activities dito sa ating university. So next. Tapos may mga mass at political organizations din na kung asan ang mga students natin pwede makipag-partake sa pag-organize at pag-participate na activities na related sa ating mga political at social issues. So ang mga halimbawa nito, ang Anak Bayan UP Cebu, yung Kabataan Party List UP Cebu, tapos ang Nagkahiusang Kusog sa Estudyante at ang Union of Progressive Students. So next slide. Meron religious organizations, ang UP FIA, tapos yung UP Cebu Youth for Christ, at Every Nation Campus UP Cebu. So, next slide. And then, may location-based organizations din, yung Katilingban, mga Litenyo sa Marnon, ngan Biliranon. Next slide. Tapos, service-based organizations, yung Rotaract Club of Cebu, tapos yung University of the Philippines Cebu Red Cross Youth Council. So, next. Then may mga performing organizations, yung Eskultura, yung UP Serenata, tapos yung Upstage, tapos yung UP Sayawe. Next slide po. And then for our institutions naman, ito po yung yung mga organizations na saan makikita natin ang University of the Philippines Cebu University Student Council, tsaka yung Tug-ani, yung ating university publication, yung Lanog, yung college publication ng College of Communications, Arts and Design, tapos yung Unified Student Organizations, yung umbrella na organization ng mga iba't ibang organizations natin dito sa university. So next slide. Tapos ito po yung Base po sa aming mga sa aming consultations at sa mga sensing forms, ito po yung mga key issues and challenges na aming po nakalap sa mga consultations na to. So for student organizations, ito po yung mga primary na key issues and challenges na amin po nakalap. So karamihan sa amin pong mga student organizations, no, maraming issue when it comes to funding and financial challenges. So may mga difficulties sa pag-access ng organizational funds, tapos may mga cases na kung saan yung mga students na member ng organization yung nag-shoulder ng expenses ng entire organization. Tapos yung iba naman, kahit may budget na ibinigay yung admin sa kanila, yung process ng paggamit ng facilities tsaka equipments is very burdened by bureaucratic na struggles tsaka yung bureaucratic process ng ating university. Tapos may lack of resources naman, yung limited access to student spaces and equipment such as our softwares and our facilities, our classrooms. So may mga organizations pa rin na nahihirapan na magsagawa ng mga trainings tsaka mga relevant sessions kasi walang enough na student spaces tsaka walang equipment na magagamit para sa mga activities na ito. So ayan, meron din mga concerns with regards to safety and security. So isa sa mga halimbawa ng mga red tagging cases, tapos sa immediate need sa institutional support is yung recently sa October, may cases of red tagging sa ating former na editor-in-chief ng ating university publication. Tapos recently, medyo nagiging normalized na yung presence ng ating state forces, ng mga patrol cars, ng mga nagkakarami na yung police presence natin outside sa ating campus na kung saan every other day na lang may makikita tayong nagpapatrol ng mga police cars at saka nagpa-parking dyan sa labas ng ating university. So, yeah, next slide please. So, ngayon, ang di-discuss naman about ng ating student athletes key issues and concerns, si Phil Emmanuel Aquino.
Hello. So dahil sa time constraint, bibilisan po namin yung pag-discuss ng content dito sa presentation. Pero for context, yung UP Cebu is one of the universities, I guess besides UP Visayas, UP Los Baños, and UP Diliman, with a growing community of student athletes dedicated to compete outside the campus. So, nakapaghanda din po kami ng case study examples of said situations and problems. But then, due to time constraint, we will be briefly going over the key issues and challenges of our student athletes. We've identified 4 based on the series of student consultations, focus group discussions, and surveys. So first, yung inaccessibility of facilities. Halimbawa siguro dito, most prominent is yung swimming team, and then yung mga sports that includes the use of the field, such as yung softball, and then yung baseball. Then besides this, moving forward with the key issues of our student athletes, the next issue is on equipment needs. So consistent sa problem ng university natin with budget constraints and lack of student spaces are also the trickle-down effects nito on our resources, which include inadequate utilities and then equipment so that we can supply the necessary capacity ng mga athletes natin. Then moving forward is our funding and financial support, most prominently. While UP Cebu has recently established a program for sports studies through the Associate of Arts program, its introduction to the university institution, parang inadequate pa siya kasi may kakulangan pa rin when it comes to funding, facilities, training, and then establish sponsorships across all sports. So there is a recognized inequity with a diverse range of sports. May mga sports na well supported dahil may sponsors at may mga sports din na hindi gaano nakakakuha ng suporta from the institution. And we recognize then that the administration is trying to devise ways to solve this gap, but then marami pa rin bottlenecks that should be addressed. Next ay yung medical and health support. Ayan. Yes. Ayan, consistent din sa previous overarching problem of budget, constraint, student spaces, and ayan, medical and health support. So to cover more ground with the presentation of the local situation of UP Cebu, we will be briefly going over this section. But then this is made available to you naman. Suppose you want to get a copy of the document. So next, medical and health support. After this is academic challenges for athletes, knowing there is an imbalance with trainings within the court and in the classroom. Next ay support for upcoming activities, which is the last concern of our athletes. Maraming athletes na may ambition to compete regionally and nationally, but then because of lack of sponsorships, we are incapacitated to do so. And then the next part of the presentation is the general student body insights. So, sabi nga, bukod sa focus group discussions, nagkaroon din po kami ng sensing form across the entire student community. You may access the document if you want to get a more detailed result of this sensing form. So I'll give time muna for people to view said document so that you can also join me as I explain. Kasi mas nuanced, mas may detalye yung document dito. So, okay. Yes, okay. I think we can proceed to the next part of the presentation. So our respondents are 549, then my abundance from the first year students, then few from the irregulars and shifties. Next slide is about the makeup of who answered the forms. Mas pinakamarami yung computer science students, and okay. So first, yung concern ng general population, there's a notable 17.5% of our students who are balancing work with their studies, which underscores the economic challenges they face while pursuing education in light of the current na inflation. Tapos, 24.2% din yung nag-report na may more than 5,000 pesos yung monthly spending nila. Then, what else? Most pertinent ay na-highlight nito yung diversity within our student population, but also point to the varying financial pressures they contend with. So understanding these economic realities is vital for us to contextualize the problems that our students, our fellow students are going through. Then the next part ay yung transportation services. So, maganda yung saklaw ng scores na nakuha natin base sa student survey. Yung average ay 6.9 at nagpapahiwatig na ang ating serbisyo ay itinuturing na higit sa karaniwan. Ang mga mataas na rating naman ay nagpapakita ng malaking bilang ng mga taong lubos na sisiyahan. But then, besides this, marami pa rin gaps. Like for example, next part of the presentation, sorry, may you go back? Ayan. Siguro yung most prominent that we found ni Grover sa most prominent na Ian Grover found sa survey ay students wanting to have more routes for greater accessibility. Tapos expanded time. Kasi yung bus, it leaves at around 4:30. So meron pa kasing mga students na may classes that time. Moving forward ay yung, wait. Ayan, dormitory services. Wait. Based sa sensing form, we consider it as good. Kasi while satisfactory yung dormitory services, meron din, however, areas of improvement, especially when it comes to bread and butter, yung mga basics on, for example, electricity, water. Kasi may mga instances that these resources at the dorm is volatile. Then, consistent siguro, hindi rin nakikater yung mga other applicants sa dormitory. Kasi maliit lang yung number of rooms relative sa student population of UP Cebu na not from Cebu City. Then, siguro yung recommendations namin for that, wait. Next slide, please. For more detailed na recommendations on the dormitory services, you may read the document, but then very briefly, we propose to accelerate the repair work for ongoing maintenance issues, ensuring that yung personal space and communal areas are well preserved. Then regular checks and timely repairs, particularly focusing sa mga more technical mechanics of living, such as door locks and bathroom facilities. Bukod dito, we propose to expand our dormitory spaces, creating more room to breathe and live. Then, what else? Kasi meron din mga instances of theft. Security is also a new frontier that the administration might want to explore with enhanced measures. Then, siguro, most prominently is the re-evaluation of our dormitory policies, ensuring that they resonate with the present needs and sensibilities of our diverse student population. And next ay yung scholarship services. So sa ating pagsusuri sa feedback para sa ating scholarship services, natanggap natin ng isang malinaw na indikasyon ng ating katayuan. Isang average na rating na 6.23. And, wait. Sorry, I'm trying to cut down yung speaking lines ko. But then, ayun. Tatanggapin natin ang feedback na ito bilang isang mandato para sa pagbabago. Sorry. Yeah, so, moving forward, next, ayun, we will share yung, yeah, I think, well-detailed naman yung document, so I hope you explore. But then, moving forward to the next part of the presentation, I'm not sure how long I have left. 5 minutes? 2 minutes? Sige. So, here are yung student demands ng Cebu City SUCs and private institutions na nakuha namin during the student walkout that we organized a few weeks ago. So, very briefly, sa kamakailang pagtitipon ng mga mag-aaral mula sa mga pampubliko at pribadong universidad ng Cebu City, matapang namin inilahad ang aming mga panawagan. Tumutol kami sa neoliberal na mga patakaran sa edukasyon, kasama ang pagtaas ng matrikula at komersyalisasyon ng edukasyon. Hiniling din namin ang mas malawak na autonomiya at agarang tugon mula sa administrasyon ng universidad sa kanilang mga pangangailangan. Binigyan din namin ng diin ang negatibong epekto ng mga pagbawas sa budget sa mga pasilidad at kondisyon ng estudyanteng atleta. But then, a large part of this local situationer will also cover yung proposed resolutions and requests. So for student organizations, based sa analisa na ginawa ni Grover, here are the pertinent na points. So maybe you want to share.
So, isa sa mga proposed resolutions na nakalap namin galing sa aming mga student organizations sa kamakailan lang na consultations namin with the student organization. So, di ba naipakita natin kanina yung kanilang issues sa funding. So, tsaka yung problema sa burokrasya ng ating mga proseso sa pag-acquire ng mga facilities ng equipment. Tapos, ang kanilang kakulangan sa mga facilities para sa conduct ng mga trainings tsaka ng mga personnel na kung saan magtuturo sa kanilang mga gawain kada org. So, ganyan din on the issues of red tagging, meron ding mga proposed resolutions when it comes to addressing safety concerns, particularly red tagging cases, tsaka pag-institutionalize ng ating committee on the promotion of academic freedom. So, next.
So the next part ay yung for student athletes. Kasi medyo kasi marami din siya. We will give you the freedom instead to read it later. Then of our plans, prospective proposals sa administration. Moving forward ay yung general student welfare. Ayun, once again, nakadetalya dito lahat na mga resolution points for the problem. Then, wait, what's next? Ayun. I think we can move to the conclusion since we don't have time. Ayun. Wait. So ayun, most of the problems na kinakaharap ng students ay largely sa bread and butter needs, like yung mga immediate na kailangan ng students na hopefully, supposedly dapat ay ginagampanan na ng institusyon. Tulad ng student spaces, yung mga basic student services. And then besides this, it only means na marami pang kailangan i-propose na gawin as a collective with the entire students. So, yung victory natin, for example, ngayon, sa College of Science building ay isang testament kung gaano pa kalawak ang maaari nating marating with democratizing student services. And with that, we will carry forward these insights into action by developing with everyone yung policy proposals. I think that would be all, unless Goober might have something to add. See, ayun lang. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you sa ating education and research community na maraming baon na Tagalog words. Wow. Nagpapasikat kay SR. Galing.
Mapapa-high pitch voice. Like, bola tayo.
Kumakailan? Sige. So, thank you very much for that comprehensive discussion. Just a short kanang reminder from everyone, especially to those who are kanang newcomers. You may occupy the seats in front. And we also have missing 100 peso. So, if that's yours, you may claim it at the back with our kanang tech people.
And also, we also want to recognize a student institution na hindi nalagay sa PPT. So we have our ever hardworking live streamer, DYUP Sugbo, sa our official radio here in UP Cebu.
It's okay. So, now, ang pinaka-hinihintay ng lahat, we also have our special guest, the fan meet, the meet-up with our very ever-loving, dynamic, and ate girl from the land of the strawberry, from the summer capital of the Philippines, from the Baguio City.
So a warm applause for our UP student Regent, Iya Trinidad.
Grabe, pinaplastic ako ng UP Cebu USC. Sige, ayan, magandang hapon po sa ating lahat. So, pakilala muna ako. Ako po si Iya, ang 40th Student Regent na ayun nga, mula sa UP Baguio. And just for a short background, so yung Student Summit po na hinuhold ng OSR annually ay may goal talaga na kumalap ng mga issues and concerns per campus kasi nare-recognize natin na although there are universal problems na kinakaharap natin bilang mga estudyante sa Universidad ng Pilipinas ay meron at meron pa rin talaga tayong mga lokal na issue na dapat na i-raise sa pinakamataas na decision-making body ng UP, ang lupon ng mga rehente. So, bilang nag-iisang representative ng mga estudyante sa Board of Regents ay ito ang pinakamandato ng Student Regent. So, sige, ang discussion naman natin today basically will be about neoliberal education na napahapyawan na kanina sa UP Cebu situation. So, papalalimin lang natin kung paano ba nakaka-apekto yung neoliberal na oryentasyon ng edukasyon sa atin bilang mga mag-aaral ng UP. Sige, next slide po tayo. Yan, ang neoliberal na atake sa edukasyon at maikling budget briefer ng National Expenditure Program for 2024. So itatackle din natin yung nangyaring deliberations and bicameral sa Congress and sa Senate with regards sa budget ng ating gobyerno sa darating na 2024. Next slide po. So, itong tanong naman, yung pinakasasagutin natin by the end of this discussion, ang edukasyon ba ay karapatan pa rin natin bilang mga kabataang estudyante considering na merong neoliberal na atake sa edukasyon? Next slide po. Okay, so ito yun naman yung magiging balangkas ng ating diskusyon. So maikling talakayan lang tungkol sa kasalukuyang kalagayan ng mga kabataan, pangalawa, oryentasyon at kasaysayan ng sistemang pang-edukasyon, ang neoliberal na opensiba sa edukasyon, ang kolonyal, komersyalisado at represibong edukasyon, at syempre, kung ano ba yung ating alternatibo at kagyat na panawagan sa kinahaharap nating mga problema bilang mga estudyante. Next slide. So, magsimula tayo sa unang balangkas. Ano nga ba talaga yung pinagdadaanan natin bilang mga kabataan estudyante? Next slide po. So, pumapasok tayo sa eskwelahan thinking na, ay, after 4 years, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years. Hindi natin sure, di ba? So, pumapasok tayo na iniisip na pagka-graduate natin ay magkakaroon tayo ng trabaho. Pero, pagkadating natin sa real world na tinatawag, ano ba yung hinaharap natin? Malawakang disempleyo, kontraktualisasyon, nakagapos sa kamangmangan at kakarampot na pinag-aralan yung pinapasok natin. So, mahirap na makapag-produce ng quality students, sure na quality students, kasi imbis na maging places of learning, yung ating universidad ay nagiging mere diploma mills na lang tayo. So, nagpapagraduate tayo ng mga estudyante na nakapagtapos. Pero sure ba talaga na yung edukasyong nakakamit natin ay kalidad para makatugon sa kagyat na pangangailangan ng lipunang Pilipino? Next slide po. Ayan, so sa katotohanan, 48.2% ng malaking reserba ng hukbo ng paggawa ay mga kabataan na nag-uunahang makakuha ng trabaho, katapat ang mabababang pasahod. So, marami sa atin na pagka-graduate, nakakuha ng trabaho, pero magkano lang yung kinikita natin. So, kung naaalala natin or kung chronically online tayo, di ba may debate kung magkano ba talaga dapat yung entering salary ng mga fresh grad is 18,000 enough or should it be 30,000, 40,000, 50,000. Pero kung titignan natin sa reality or sa realidad ng kasalukuyang lipunan ng ating bansa na patuloy na nagtataas yung presyo ng bilihin, hindi na enough yung 18,000 lang a month. Sobrang kulang pa nun. Kung mag-isa ka lang nabubuhay siguro, or yung sarili mo lang yung, nag-iisa ka lang nabubuhay. Ang sad naman nun. Kung wala ka namang binubuhay na pamilya, that's okay, livable pa. But in reality, sobrang liit na lang talaga nun. As in, wala ka talagang, wala ka nang mabibili for yourself, yung mga treat yourself ba na mga ganyan. Kasi nauubos na lahat sa mga pangangailangan mo. Na okay lang din naman, pero hindi kasi tayo dapat naghihirap na makabili ng mga ganitong essential needs na tinatawag. Okay, next slide po. Ayan, so sa antas naman ng kolehiyo, 59% ng kabataang Pilipino ay hindi nakatuntong ng kolehiyo o out-of-school youth. So, 4 sa 10 na nag-enroll sa kolehiyo ang hindi nakakapagtapos. So, statistics say na 100% yung enrollment rate sa kindergarten, pababa siya ng pababa from 100% kindergarten, 80% grade school, tapos magiging 50% na lang ang enrollment rate sa high school hanggang sa pakunti ng pakunti, yung nag-e-enroll na lang sa college. Bakit? One, yung patuloy na pagtaas ng tuition fee sa mga private universities. Pangalawa, hindi naman talaga accessible ang public universities. Nag-aagawan ang mga estudyante na makapasok sa public universities. And let's face it, marami ng mayayaman ang nakapasok sa mga public universities dahil sila yung may capability and means na makapag-aral sa mga eskwelahan at makapag-enroll sa mga review centers na talaga nag-cater sa kung ano bang gustong makuha ng mga public universities. So, imbes na mag-aral ang mga kabataan, pinipili na lang nilang magtrabaho. And ano ba yung sinabi nila nung K-12, di ba? Sabi nila, job ready na raw, marami na raw tatanggap sa atin kapag graduate tayo ng grade 12. But in reality, marami pa rin hindi nakakakuha ng trabaho after graduating senior high school. Ayan, ang pagdami ng mga estudyante sa mga pampublikong universidad ay hindi nasasabayan ng pagtaas sa budget na inilalaan ng pamahalaan. So tumataas yung nakukuha natin mula sa Department of Budget and Management sa National Expenditure Program every year. Tumataas yan dahil nangungutang tayo sa ibang mga bansa, sa mga multinational and transnational na mga companies, etc. But in reality, next slide po, yung nakukuha natin na budget mula doon para sa edukasyon ay napakaliit lang. Halos hindi tumataas yung inilalaan na budget para sa sektor ng edukasyon. And ano yung nagiging consequence nito? Ibig sabihin, yung mga public universities, hindi sila properly funded. Sa ngayon, di na natin ito masyadong i-discuss kasi ano lang naman siya, nitty-gritty lang siya sa usaping budget. So, next slide. Ang mas pag-usapan natin ay yung budget na kinakaltas sa mga state universities and colleges. So sa ngayon, ang UP po ay number 1 hindi lang sa world rankings, kundi sa nabawasan ng budget sa state universities and colleges. Almost 3 billion yung binawas sa UP. And ang justification daw nila ay dahil hindi naman na kailangan ng dagdag ng UP sa capital outlay. Yung capital outlay, ginagamit yan para pang-build ng mga infrastructures. Hindi naman din mababa yung utilization rate ng mga universities, ng mga colleges. Ibig sabihin, hindi nagagastos yung pera. E paano magagastos yung pera kung napakabagal ng bureaucracia para lang makapag-approve ng pag-build ng isang maliit lang na facilities? Hindi tayo pinapayagang bumili ng pandagdag pag-update sa mga laboratories natin, etc. So, and even sa Commission on Higher Education, haharap siya ng mahigit 500 million pesos na budget cut. So, ang repercussions nito, malulugmok talaga yung public schools and universities na highly reliant sa budget na nakukuha nito mula sa gobyerno. Next slide po. So, ano yung mga ma-affect no, ng pagbawas or yung budget cut natin bilang state universities and colleges? Unang-una na, salary increase para sa ating faculty and non-faculty na manggagawa sa loob ng ating universidad. Although maraming victories na nakukuha ang mga academic unions and workers union natin, hindi ito enough because minsan 1 year lang siya ginagrant, hindi siya sustainable na every year you will get a CNA incentive. Hindi siya ganun. Laging nagde-depend pa rin yan sa ina-approve na budget para sa mga state universities and colleges. Pangalawa, student budget. So kanina na-mention na yung funding para sa ating athletes, para sa ating mga organizations, even scholarships and other forms of financial aid ay highly reliant din sa nakukuha nating budget mula sa DBM. At ngayon na binawasan yung budget ng UP, ibig sabihin, kahit tumataas yung number na nag-a-apply para sa SLAS, para sa mga financial assistance, hindi siya maa-approve talaga lahat. Dahil mas magiging competitive yung pag-a-apply dito at kung sino lang talaga yung may pinakakailangan ang makukuha. And we recognize na itong mga financial assistance ay important, lalo na sa mga estudyante ng public universities, state universities and colleges, dahil marami sa ating mga estudyante ay hindi naman afford, 'di ba, yung living expenses to be studying in a city, a big city or a commercialized city. Tapos ayan, personal services, MOOE, and capital outlay. Sige po, next slide. Ayan, so, hindi, sige, next, para lang mabilis. Ayan, so, nakita natin during the budget deliberation sa Congress pa lang na malaki yung pagdepensa ng iilang mga ahensya ng gobyerno para magkaroon ng confidential intelligence funds. And we contended this, malaki yung contentions dito dahil una sa lahat, these are civilian agencies, Office of the President, Department of Agriculture, Department of Education, Office of the Vice President, and these do not need confidential funds, not even intelligence funds. Siguro yung intelligence funds, ma-justify pa natin to pag yung Department of National Defense, yung mga AFP, may mga ganyan sila because they really use it. At ang line item niya talaga sa budget ay intelligence funds na ginagamit naman talaga at least na-audit. But the problem with confidential funds, it's essentially secret funds na hindi natin alam saan napupunta dahil hindi na-audit, hindi na-itemize at hindi pinapublicize sa atin bilang mga mamamayan na may karapatan namang malaman kung saan napupunta yung budget or yung pera na binabayad natin sa gobyerno. So, yung budget ng gobyerno ng mas leeway, mas maraming leeway para magawa yung mga activities na gusto nilang gawin. Pero ano ba yung activities na ginagawa ng mga ito? Nanre-red tag. Kanina sa local human rights situationer natin, di ba? Nanre-red tag ng durukot. Sila ang rason kung bakit tayo may mga desaparecidos, may mga political prisoners, etc. And yung confidential and intelligence funds na pupunta sa mga civilian agencies ay hindi naman talaga necessary because anong gagawin ng Department of Education sa confidential funds? 'Di ba? Sinasabi nila, gina-justify nila na ginagamit siya para sa tree planting activities na hindi naman talaga nangyayari. Ayan. So aside from this, ay nais din talaga nilang bigyan ng budget yung pag-i-implement muli ng mandatory ROTC na may pilot testing sa ating universidad, and it will be funded with an exorbitant 61.2 billion pesos. So ibig sabihin, talagang pinopondohan na nila na magkaroon ng elements of the state sa loob ng ating mga universidad to produce what? Disciplined, principled students. But in reality, it's just cultivating a culture of blind obedience, di ba? And violence. Ayan, pangalawa, military and uniformed personnel pension reform. So, nais nilang taasan or bigyan ng mas malaking budget yung mga retired military and police personnel. Yan, contribution but with 3% salary increase for 10 years. So yan ang priority ng ating gobyerno sa almost 5-6 trillion na budget para sa 2024. Itong mga ahensya at itong mga ahensya na ito ang may pinakamataas na budget. Next slide po. Okay, so pasok naman tayo sa orientasyon at kasaysayan ng edukasyon sa bansa natin. Next slide po. Ayan, so yung kasalukuyang katangian ng ating lipunan ay MKMP. So familiar naman tayo sa concept na ito. Pag sinabi nating MKMP, essentially, there's a heightened unequal power relations between landlords and peasants at may indirect control ang foreign entities, foreign influential nations sa ating bansa. So, ibig sabihin, even if we're under the guise of a democratic and sovereign country, mali talaga yon, hindi yun totoo dahil may ibang nangongontrol sa atin. Next slide po. Ayan, So, yung history naman ng edukasyon, so nag-start siya 1901 to 1910s, American colonization period. Gusto nila magtayo ng mga schools, ng mga universities para mas mapadulas yung kanilang pag-i-influence sa ating kultura. And UP is a product of that. Kailan tayo na-establish? Tama, very good. You know your history. 1908 tayo na-establish. 1946, dyan nagsimulang lumala ang malakolonyal at malapyudal na oryentasyon ng ating lipunan at nagmanifest ito sa kolonyal, komersyalisado at represibong tipo ng edukasyon. And in the 1950s naman, naging daluyan ang mga pamantasan para sa red tagging and political vilification na pinasimunuan ng mga nasa America, or yung history kasi ng red tagging is what we call McCarthyism. So nagsimula siya with Senator McCarthy ng states who was stating na yung kanyang mga kasamahan sa gobyerno ay mga communist rebels daw. So nanunuro lang siya without concrete evidence to prove that what he was saying was correct. And manifest ito sa ating bansa through the Anti-Subversion Law and the Committee on Anti-Filipino Activities, or CAFA. Familiar naman tayo dito sa CAFA. Basic history lang natin siya. Sige po, next slide. Yan, so ang neoliberal na opensiba sa edukasyon, paano ba natin nasabi na neoliberal ang edukasyon sa Pilipinas? Next slide. So nating neoliberal ang edukasyon sa Pilipinas dahil nakikita natin yung manifestations ng neoliberalismo sa loob ng ating pamantasan. Ibig sabihin, tinuturing ng kalakal ang mga estudyante na pinapadala sa ibang bansa, ine-export at ginagawang murang lakas panggawa. Pangalawa, commercialized ang education, privatized. Ibig sabihin, napapasok na ng mga commercialized establishments, malls, ng mga cafes, etc. ang ating universities. And lastly, represibo ito dahil hindi na kinikilala yung ating academic freedom and free thinking bilang mga estudyante ng ating universidad. Okay, next slide po. So isa-isahin natin siya, yung mga patakaran na prove that we are under neoliberal education. Unang-una, K-12. Minadali ito way back 2016, 2017 dahil gustong-gusto na natin makipagsabayan sa international na orientation of education na 6 years daw ang high school. So they said that we would be one, globally competitive, and second, job ready, which is all false. Because unang-una, hindi naman talaga tayo dapat nagiging globally ready or globally competitive. Because why do we have to cater to the needs of international communities kung tayo mismo dito sa Pilipinas ay nangangailangan ng mga tao, 'di ba? And second, we're not job ready kasi pinapahirapan na naman tayo, at least yung sa high school, and until now, pinapahirapan lang tayo, di ba? Pinagpo-produce lang tayo ng kung ano-anong mga requirements, hindi naman talaga tayo natututo. Ayan, internationalization of higher education, yung pagpasok natin sa kung ano-anong mga quality assurance ko na gusto nating ma-recognize as a top university globally. Yan, CHED Memorandum 20, ito yung pagtanggal or pagbawas sa general education subjects. So this includes history, language, literature, etc. Pagpapatakbo sa mga pamantasan bilang malaking negosyo, and malaki yung manifestations nito sa private universities like FEU, Mapua, National University na pag-graduate nila, diretso silang magtrabaho sa kumpanya ng mga may-ari ng kanilang universities at panunupil at panininlang laban sa malaya at makabayang pagkilos or repressive education. Next slide po. Kailangan ko ng bilisan, 5 minutes na lang daw. Yan. Upang panatilihin ang neoliberal na opensiba, kinakailangan maging kolonyal, komersyalisado at represibo ng edukasyon. So isa-isahin natin yan real quick. So next slide po. Pag sinabi natin kolonyal, basic, ibig sabihin lang nito, next slide po, ay it seeks to serve the foreign interests instead of local interests. So nagtataguyod ng Burgess liberal na kaisipan at ideolohiya upang itaguyod ang pananaw ng mga burgesya. So, classic thinking nito, pagka-graduate ko, gusto kong yumaman. Gusto kong makapagpunta sa Paris at mag-shop nang hindi kailangang tumingin sa price tags. 'Di ba? Kahit ako, gusto ko yon, pero hindi siya necessary, no, sa ganitong tipo ng lipunan. At hindi niya mapapakain ang milyong-milyong mga Pilipino unless pag yumaman ka and you redistribute your wealth, 'di ba? So, next slide po. Ang commercialized na education naman, basically, ginagawang halakal na may katapat na halaga ang edukasyon. Ginagawang pribilehiyo at hindi serbisyong natatamasa ng lahat at pinagkukunan ng tubo ng mga lokal na burgesya. Ibig sabihin, ginagawang business ang education, pinagkakakitaan ang mga estudyante instead of helping them study and flourish in their specific disciplines. And lastly, repressive education. Pagtanggal ng batayang politika na karapatan ng mga estudyante, basically, panunupil sa atin bilang mga estudyante, pag-apak sa ating mga karapatan, pagpasa ng mga kontra-estudyanteng polisiya. And this can come in simple forms. Dress code, haircut rule, yung mga ganon. It doesn't have to be as big as censorship, although it is a manifestation of repressive education. Pero yung pagkocontrol sa pananamit natin and self-expression is already a manifestation of repressive education. And isa pang very important ay yung pagpasok ng mga military elements sa loob ng ating pamantasan. So, even if we do not have the UPD&D Accord anymore, pwede pa rin nating magamit yung UPDILG Accord because it's basically just like the UPD&D Accord except nilipat kasi yung agency ng police from DND to DILG and it's still very much in effect. So unless in cases of hot pursuit, of kailangan may arestuhin sa loob ng university or they have the permission of the administration na makapasok sa loob ng universities, they are not allowed to enter our campuses. Next slide po. So, i-discuss naman natin kung ano yung alternate. Sa ganitong itsura ng edukasyon, malinaw na tinatapak ng gobyerno ang ating karapatan para sa libre, dekalidad at aksesibleng edukasyon. Kaya, kailangan natin ng isang alternative sa colonial, commercialized, and repressive na education na, next slide po, alam ba natin, familiar tayo sa kung ano yung alternative? Nasa slide na siya. Wala na. Charot. Pero ayan, ang alternative naman ay pambansa, siyentipiko at makamasang edukasyon. Familiar tayo? Nationalist, scientific, and mass-oriented education. So, mabilisan lang, balikan lang natin kung ano ba siya. Next slide po, pambansa. Ibig sabihin, kinokontra niya yung, alin? Kolonyal na orientasyon ng education dahil imbes na pinagsuserve or sinuserve yung interest ng mga dayuhan, ay pinagsisilbihan na nito yung interest ng mga mamamayang Pilipino and it seeks to protect yung soberanya natin bilang isang nasyon. Ayan. Next slide po. Siyentipiko naman, ibig sabihin, nagsusulong ng malayang kaisipan, wastong pagsusuri sa konkretong kalagayan at paglalapatika. Ibig sabihin, kung ano talaga yung nararanasan natin or yung mga basic na issues and concerns na hinaharap natin bilang mga mamamayang Pilipino, yun dapat yung sinasagot ng education na nakukuha natin. Ayan. And lastly, next slide po, pangmasang edukasyon. So ngayon, nag-aagawan tayo sa slots natin sa mga klase at parang buhay na yung inilalaan natin para lang makakuha ng isang subject. At sa isang alternative sa colonial, commercialized, and repressive education, hindi na yun dapat nangyayari dahil pangmasa ng edukasyon. Ibig sabihin, ina-uphold na talaga ng gobyerno yung mandato niya na pondohan at i-ensure yung quality of education even in public universities and colleges para pangmasa na talaga ito at hindi na tayo nag-aagawan para sa slots natin dito. Next slide po. Ayan. At paano nga ba natin matatamasa no, nitong orientasyon ng edukasyon given the harsh realities that we experience as students? Definitely, one, being collectivized is important. So we join groups with advocacy, different advocacies, that's already big. But ultimately, hamon sa atin na ipagpatuloy yung pagmumulat sa mga kapwa natin, estudyante, pag-organize sa kanila, and ultimately, pagmomobilisa sa kanila for genuine societal changes. Hindi enough na namumulat tayo, nagpo-post tayo sa Facebook, nagtitweet tayo, although malaki yung tulong nun, pero ang tunay na laban ay nasa labas ng ating pamantasan, nasa lansangan, kasama ang ating mga kapwa mamamayang Pilipino. So, important na collectivize tayo with our fellow students, but ultimately, yung pagsasama natin sa pakikibaka ng malawak na hanay ng masang Pilipino ay mas importante para mapagtagumpayan ang tiyak na gusto nating lipunan. Ayun lamang po, that's New Lib Educ and the fight for our right to education and academic freedom. Yun lamang po, maraming salamat.
So thank you, SR Iya. Truly, our issues across the UP system may be unique, but our campaign for a free, quality, and accessible education persists. Hearing this series of discussion, I know we might have a few questions and concerns in mind, especially to our audience. So at this juncture, let us welcome once again our student Regent Iya Trinidad along with Karapatan Senvis spokesperson Dennis Abarientos and UPC-USC Chairperson Nico Book for our open forum. So we will entertain 5 questions from our audience. So we have one from our audience.
So, hello po, SR. So, my question po is, with the development po of the Dili Mall, we saw how aggressive the commercialization of UP campuses is. And in the context of UP Cebu po, we know based on the master development plan that there will be a shopping center built in the area there in the open field beside the stage. So, given that po, my question is, what mechanisms po could we do or could we lobby in order to ensure that these spaces remain pro-people and pro-student?
So thank you.
Ayan, important na i-urge natin yung administration natin to hold consultations with the major stakeholders and sectors involved and yung primarily affected by the building of shopping center. Yung Dili Mall, it didn't go through the proper consultations with students, faculty, staff, even the vendors na primarily affected by the building of these commercialized establishments. So it's important na bago pa masimulan yung pagbibuild ng shopping center ay mai-air na natin sa administration na dapat pro-student and pro-UP basically yung i-build na facility doon at i-ensure natin na hindi siya commercialized unlike Dili Mall. I don't know if nakita nating lahat but for context may Mary Grace, may ano pa bang nandoon, UCC Cafe, KFC. Basta there's a gym, a fitness gym, etc. na hindi naman talaga kailangan ng students. So it's evident na yung target audience nun ay hindi mga estudyante, hindi mga faculty ng UP. So, kung shopping center siya na i-build sa loob ng ating university, i-ensure natin na yung services na ipaprioritize doon ay student services na afford natin at sure tayo na kailangan natin. So, as early as now, siguro aralin natin, tingnan natin, i-clinch natin yung ating administration at tanungin kung sino yung parties involved. Baka kasi may outside na or like a master, third party lessee na involved. And minsan kasi sila yung parang nagiging proponents of commercialization eh. It's not necessarily UP, but since we need to come up with income-generating projects dahil nga sa budget cuts, nagpapapasok sila ng private entities. So as much as possible, aralin natin as early as now kung sino yung entities involved at kung ano ba talaga yung plano nila. And i-assert natin na sa planning pa lang, sa brainstorming pa lang ay kasama na tayo sa pagpaplano kung ano-anong mga establishments, ano-anong services yung papasok sa shopping center.
So thank you, SR. So any follow-up na question or answer from that question? So any question from the audience? So we have one here.
Hello, good afternoon, SR. Okay, so based on the recent happenings or experiences in UP Cebu in general, we have been experiencing various subtle and direct attacks from the state forces. Mainly, this includes drone sightings or police mobile na nakapark lang sa labas ng campuses namin, or even the university itself allowed a security summit to be held inside the university, which was attended by PIDEA, SWAT, PNP, and other state forces in general. So my question is, in line with this, we have lobbied the Committee on the Promotion of Academic Rights and Welfare to the Board of Regents, especially to President Gigil Jimenez. And the last update that we got was it was already on the works to be established in a system-wide level so that all of the units are well represented. So my question is, can we have some updates regarding this establishment, and if ever there are problems in establishing it, how you as the Office of the Student Regent can go hand in hand with the campus units, especially with UPC as the main proponent of the committee, can help in lobbying or like in hastening the establishment of this committee.
So the update is, there is no update. Nasa BOR level pa rin siya right now, and hindi siya, yung pag-uusap or yung approval for the institutionalization of the Committee on the Protection and Promotion of Academic Freedom and Human Rights hasn't been included in the agenda, and we had our last BOR meeting last November 30. So yung susunod na is sa January, and ang role naman ng SR dito, and actually ng sectoral regents, ay magkulumpo ng documentation of what's currently happening in different UP constituent units that are of urgency para ma-institutionalize na yung Committee on Academic Freedom and Human Rights. Kasi hindi pwedeng paspasan yung discussion dito. Actually, university councils already endorsed this, and that's a major thing. If I'm not mistaken, isang campus na lang yung hindi nag-release ng endorsement, which is UP Manila, I think. Even yung mga SHS campus natin nag-release ng endorsement. So, it's a huge thing talaga and of urgency sa buong UP system. Sadyang wala lang talagang updates sa BOR level because of several reasons, but definitely maasahan yon na ang sectoral regents ay tirelessly na nilalobby ito. So it really matters no na yung students natin and other university sectors document yung mga cases of police and military intrusions, yung mga attacks sa atin, direct and indirect red tagging, yung mga atake sa atin basically, not just as students, even mga alumni natin. That's important kasi ito yung magpapalakas ng kampanya natin sa Board of Regents na ma-institutionalize na ito. And pangalawa, syempre, umaasa din kami kasi tatlo lang kami eh. It's just 3 voices in the BOR out of 11. So as much as possible, we also lean on the fact na may mass campaign that backs us na talagang tutulong sa amin sa pagkalampag sa other members of the Board of Regents na yung pag-i-institutionalize ng committee na ito ay talagang kailangan na ng UP community. Ayun naman.
So we also have a question from our Google form. So when we ask for our attendees to register, so last November 20, UP Cebu joined the Cebu-wide student walkout carrying various student demands and calls. For UP Cebu, sorry. One of our minimum demand is to lobby our demands to the Board of Regent. In this case, we wanted to propose that with our Office of the Chancellor, Akad Union President, and SC Chairperson can be given an ample time or privilege to speak in the BOR meeting if possible. We just wanted to highlight that even though we are relatively a small campus unit in the Visayas region, the BOR shall heed to the budget concerns. It has been affecting the university on the ground, leading to students, teachers, staff, and reps, even the workers, to suffer. As a student regent, what are some of the amiable plans you can propose to us in order to realize this minimum demand?
So, charot. So tama ba na the minimum demand is makapag-present sa BOR? It's possible naman, actually through your chancellor, so i-pressure nyo na si Chansey na magpa-agenda sa Board of Regents. But I can bring this up, send me a list of the demands siguro, and we write to the, usually kasi ang pag-agenda sa Board of Meetings ay through the administrations of different constituent units. But if it's a matter of urgency, then we can definitely bring it up sa Board of Regents Secretariat para ma-include sa ating agenda. Kasi kung magpapa-include tayo dun sa mismong BOR meeting na other matters na siya, dulong-dulo na talaga yung other matters, and minsan wala na sa mood yung ibang members of the board at nagmamadali na lang para matapos yung meeting. So para ma-exhaust yung discussion dito sa budget demands or sa overall demands ng ating constituent unit ay ipa-agenda talaga natin siya. Ayan.
Thank you, SR. So we have last two questions. So we all have one here.
Hello po, good afternoon, SR. I am Kate Ginocor, UNISO chairperson. So it's actually Unified Students Organization. So in behalf of all the organizations for both academic and interest-based, we are asking if is it like unlike Diliman or like big universities like na mga constituents ng UP, these organizations have their own fundings because marami yung students for those universities like UPD, UPLB, and UP Baguio. However, in UPC, we are only like 1,700 lang na students, and basically, despite the diverse na talents and student organizations, wala talagang funding allocated for these organizations. However, all of these organizations are actually working with administration when it comes to like events, sila yung nag-organize, sila yung nag-represent na school. Is it possible po ba na student organizations, both academic and interest-based, will be given budget allocation? Because right now, for example, meron po tayong UP Symphony Orchestra, and then UP Serenata is one of those organizing and is one of those collaborating with this debut concert. However, UP Serenata is having a hard time trying to find budget. So with this, kaya po ba nating i-address yung issues like not really na malaki yung budget, but at least from all UP systems, meron pong budget for these organizations. Thank you.
The answer is yes, it's possible. And actually, dapat kino-cover na yung costs ng ating student affairs office yung mga ganitong activities because they have budget. And since they're the student affairs office and org activities and events or student affairs, student activities, dapat covered na siya ng OSA. So, I think it will root sa kakulangan din sa budget and siguro human resources na rin ng mga Office of Student Affairs na hindi kayang i-cover yung cost ng mga activities ng lahat ng student affairs. But definitely lobbying for higher budget for student institutions is something that we are working on. I have a question na lang, is UNISO a student institution? No, it's not. Okay. Okay. Kasi at least in UP Baguio, yung Council of Leaders, it's the counterpart. Parang covered din siya ng student funds, so they can get budget from there. Pinapadaan lang sa council. So, we can explore that. Gamitin niyo yung pera ng council niyo. Try niyo. Walang budget. Pero ayun, there are a lot of mechanisms naman that we can try to do habang hindi pa talaga natataas yung budget for student organizations. But definitely, yung pagtaas ng overall budget for student activities is a need considering na dumarami na nga yung ating mga estudyante at unti-unti na tayong bumabalik sa full face-to-face. So, ayun.
So, any last question before we will end our open forum? Or wala na? So, ay. Isa ninyo. Bato-bato, pick mo.
Ano po, for clarification naman po, SR, suppose may mga students dito na may tanong sa inyo, though hindi pa nag-manifest this afternoon, how do we relay this? Ano po yung mechanisms, proper channels for us to do so?
Pang-ending ng open forum.
My communication lines are open. If I'm not responsive on Facebook, you can send me an email naman sa OSR email. Kasi pag hindi kasi friends sa Facebook, sa message request siya dumediretso and minsan hindi siya nagno-notify. So, if you have any urgent questions or concerns, pwede nyo rin namang ipadaan sa council, any members of the council, and then sila na lang mag-relay sa akin, and then I'll do my best to address them as soon as possible.
So,
Hello, good afternoon. The question pertains to the recent rental rate increase for the facilities here in the campus. That is 10%. How can the student organizations or how can the OSR help lobby it to the admin para ma-junk siya? Ganyan. Yeah.
Ang justification kasi mostly ng admin kung bakit nag-i-increase yung mga rental fees, etc. ay dahil hindi na kayang makover yung dami or yung influx ng students na mas marami na silang ginagastos kesa sinisingil sa mga estudyante. And the easy answer to this is to ask our administrators talaga to cover the costs because they have the budget. They really have the budget to be able to cover yung mga funds na ito at kayang-kaya nilang gawan ng paraan na makover ito should they ask for additional budget for their constituent unit. So, since papasok na tayo sa panibagong taon na naman, pwede nating ipa-realize sa ating mga administrators na pag magre-request ng budget sa Board of Regents or sa UP system ay taasan yung ibibigay para makover yung costs na pinapabayad sa mga estudyante. Because yung pag pinapabayad tayo, atake to sa karapatan natin sa libreng edukasyon. Imagine di ka nagbabayad ng tuition pero magbabayad ka ng kung ano-anong miscellaneous fees, kung ano-anong laboratory fees na dapat ay covered na rin sa free education. But then, again, since ang reality talaga natin is we are facing a very huge budget cuts, maghahanap sila ng other ways to cover for them in the forms of income-generating projects nga within our universities or sisingilin na yung ating mga estudyante. Pero, again, definitely makahanap sila ng alternative dito at pwede naman natin kausapin yung mga system na offices for this. So this includes the offices ng mga Vice President for Finance, for Planning and Development, for Academic Affairs, etc. to cover the costs of these funds. Ayun.
Thank you, SR. So, any question? Actually, kay papunta si Chansey po. So maybe we can extend pa our open forum. So
So this question is addressed for Sir Dennis. Hi, sir. So I'd like to ask I'd like to ask a question pertaining to the AFP-RCDG MOU. So for context, so it is a memorandum of understanding that mandates most of our incoming freshies here in the university to undertake the ROTC, the Reserve Officer Training Corps na course, and then it also seeks to convert most of our student spaces into munition spaces, storage of um, state na equipments and facilities. So I'd like to ask on what can we do as the student body? What steps can we take towards lobbying or resisting these forms of encroachment on our rights on academic freedom and expression of free thinking? So yeah.
thank you. Also, let's acknowledge the presence of our UP Cebu Chancellor.
Actually, don't, Juan, I still have no update on the status of that memorandum. But the last time we have it, sakto ba to, nga, it's still up for approval. Um, and there are still some provisions in the memorandum that needs to be clarified, particularly on those uses of the the facilities that will be required to put up the entire program, and then on the number of students that was also demanded by the RCSU to qualify for the program of ROTC. On your part, I think mas ang council makatubag on what you should do and what you can there are a lot that you can do depending sa inyong sentiment of the broader studentry about sa mandatory ROTC. On our part, sa mga instructors, we're not warm to that the idea na it's na mandatory siya. So mas kana lang.
Sa MOU, Chansey.
Sa committee, ang recommendation sa committee not to enter into the MOU, maragi adapt man to sa University Council. So I think there's no worry about itong mag-establish og diri offices. Wala sa dyan, ang recommendation lang sa committee gi-adapt sa University Council. Sa optional, i-offer gyapon siya. Pero dili siya necessary. Pero having said that, mangutan na kung anong di man tayo mo join sa ROTC. Regardless of the ideological kaya ako, you know, my ideological bias, but to me, mas ganahan jud ko mo join ng ROTC for other reasons. Pero pwede na ito mastoryahan later on nga anong ganahan ko mo join ng ROTC regardless of my ideological leaning for practical reasons, strategic reasons, no? So wala na itong istoryahan siguro in person, dili lang in public.
Okay, Chansey. We also want to up some 2 questions, Chansey, from our audience sa open forum. So first, we have the 10% kanang rental fee increase. So how we can lobby it to the Board of Regent, especially that it can be stopped due when we have an appropriate budget for it, Chansey.
As we have discussed during our meeting, wala na to implement. So kailangan pa mo to implementation. But kiwa ito date. So mo to siya. Wala po siya, wala man tayo nag-discuss pa sa date, or in fact atong gi-discuss is itanaw no sa kung nabay alternative sources of income. Pero I think ang sa atong meeting is that walay date, no, kung kado sa implement. In fact, we are reconsidering it based on our discussion. And if ever na 10% katulang mga i-rent sa mga tagagawas kay, di ba, income generating, but katong mga dorms, no, motong wala na. In fact, na-discuss na ito, nga di gito siya i-implement. No? Ang ato lang discussan kung anong usay date is katong mga rentals nga outsiders, which is good for us kung ato i-increase kay income na sa atong university kung outsiders, di ba? Wala man pumayren kung magamit mo sa university facilities. So it will not concern us. Ang katulang dormitory, which is wala mo padayo, no?
And we also have one question said from audience Chansey regarding a katong sa Dili Mall. We have the kanang, as we can see, the commercialization of UP lands, Chansey, and in UP Cebu context, if ever we will have a shopping center, Chansey, how can we ensure that it is pro people and also pro UP and pro student, Chansey?
Sa investment committee nga mo create sa technical working group, there will be student representatives, there will be representatives from the alumni, from the union, faculty and staff, and representatives from the chancellor on unsay buhaton sa mga income generating. Pero I think ang advance ra kita magunhaw na wala ang, in fact, ang pinaka problema nato karon mangita tag investors nga ganahan mo invest sa ato ang kuan, di ba, campus. So mo na pinaka later na siguro nato naon kung unsay atong buhaton sa funding, but rest assured na kana mga informal settlers nato, they will not be displaced as what we have done sa Sitio Abocado. You will see sa high school building, wala na sila ma-displace, naram na sa kilid because we have an understanding sa kilid lang usa sila. But we are going to relocate them within the campus because if we look at our campus development plan, there are 4 sites, 4 areas nga reserved for informal settlers, na for areas reserved for students and faculty and staff. So in fact, natay kuan ganina sa Pag-ibig katong signing for katong rental housing. That includes also other stakeholders sa university. So as to the question kung unsay gamiton sa kwarta, ang first gid nako nga ako man ang kuan executive. So for me, i-channel gid unta na siya sa medical benefits sa mga faculty members, sa staff, sa students, kung stretch na gyud kaayo kanang sa mga family members, sa mga atong parents, atong kanang faculty family members, sa staff, sa students, kanang layo na gyud kay na ba, di ba? But we'll stretch it. Ang importante man gud nga naatay kanang kung may ma-accident or naatay sakit, wala na tay gastuson sa hospital. So muna siya in case moabot na taan ang panahon nga naatay investor, wag na one of my demands nga dapat na siya i-allocate for hospitalization, for the medical insurance plan, and benefit also for atong mga staff, atong student activities and all activities sa sa university. Nga di na ta mag-depend outside. I know that we have to ask for budget outside, but at least self-sustaining pud ta. No? So ang plan nato, if you look at sa kilid na amantoy katong shopping mall, and the shopping center is not just a shopping center, it's an internship mall nga. For example, kung naamo sa business sa School of Management, part pod na siya sa inyong internship program. No? So naay gyapon siya academic nga use even if shopping center siya. Clear ba ang kuan? Basta do not be as long as oo, 2 years na lang. So kuan ato nang mabuhat. So ang atong target is that by February mapadala na nato ang TOR para sa campus development plan sa Board of Regents. February or March. So hopefully ato nang mapa-approve sa Board of Regents. Okay, so na may concerns kasi basig wala ko kasabot sa question kaning commercialization. Unsa may inyong concerns? Oo, kay naay mall, okay ra ba sa ato nga naay mall or actually siya parang used na for the community kay as we have said nato yung mga dito mga housing, di ba? For staff and students. So it's important na di na ta mga dug-ayala na nalanta diha. But the income let's make sure na it goes to the benefits of the stakeholders of the university, no? And for our activities also to support our activities. And ay mo ka problema sa financing kay I am very transparent about our finances and our budget. Very transparent nga kita gid mo nga wala tayong budget. Sige, so napa mo questions about commercialization? Unsa may inyong concerns about commercialization? Kinsa to yung nag-question atong? Kinsa man sa audience. Unsa may ay mo uwa mo. Sige nang unsa may at least ma-address na dahil nato samtang sayo pa ba? Mahadlok mo nga nga sige follow up.
Dilito ako, Chansey, pero ang akong pangutana kay sorry. Ang akong pangutana kay nabay document sa mga prospective investment plans para sa income generating projects sa UP Cebu.
So as of now wala pa man tayo investor, di ba? So karon gidraft pa nato ang terms of reference through the committee, and that committee will be composed of katong mga student representatives o alumni reps, faculty reps nga atong gisulti ganina. So you will know kung unsay nahitabo. The whole process is transparent, no? So di ta mabalaka kung about the investments and then kung unsay mga plans po dana. So there's going to be consultation as we have said, pati bisangag mga pets naagay tay public consultation kani pang very important di ba? So rest be assured na the process will be consultative and it's for the benefit of the stakeholders of the university.
Okay. Thank you, Chancellor, for your presence and openness to answer. We shall set a former dialogue and to settle our concern, especially with the Student Council and our different organization under UNISO. And now, I think we are done with our open forum. So before we end this program, let us commemorate the 75th anniversary of the International Declaration of Human Rights. On December 10, oppressed and exploited Filipino people continue to face imperialist war and political persecution. In UP Cebu, we will march together with other human rights advocates and defenders all over the country to amplify our call to stop the killings, abduction, enforced disappearances, torture, illegal detention, fake and forced surrender, bombings, threats, red tagging, and other form of human rights violation and violation on international humanitarian law.
We will march to strengthen our clamor political prisoners, including our NDFP consultants. In the midst of the worsening poverty, with firm resolve, we will forward and fight for our political and economic rights, including our right to access free and quality basic social services such as education.
With this, we are inviting you to partake in the collective struggle and march with the Cebuano people on December 10, 9 a.m. from Fuente Osmeña Clock to Gaisano Metro Colon, where we will hold our main program.
So we're looking forward to meet with the same faces here in the Student Summit in the incoming days. So aside from this, in the future kanang event, we also have another event especially for this Christmas season. So with this, we see how our Christmas tree has lightened up. We have many stars and decorations all over the campus. And now, the spirit of Christmas does not end here. In fact, we must spread love and generosity this time of the year through 12 UM's class of UP High School Cebu, who will be working through a social work initiative to provide temporary relief to citizens currently residing in CICC Tipolo, Mandaue. These people who were victims of a fire in 2016 are still facing daunting risk of rebuilding their lives and awaiting for our relocation site. With us, we're acknowledging the presence of our UP high school students. Please stand and come in front. So with this, the UP Cebu University Student Council is with the UP High School Cebu students aim to demonstrate the role of social work by providing CICC residents with joyful Christmas party for the children and distributing essential items for this. And we believe na this spirit of Christmas is not possible without our collective action. So here with us is knocking on our generous hearts to provide for donations in any kind, monetary or in kind. So they will be explaining the gist of the activity.
Thank you, Ate. So, good afternoon, everyone. I am Athena, and I'm Hannah. And we are grade 12 Hume student from UP High School, Cebu. Actually, I approached Akademiko yesterday from the Hoya Art Talk, and it was really unexpected that she mentioned the Student Summit. So I'm very grateful that you're here today to ask for your help, and thank you for listening to this. So actually, our social work is entitled Munting Tinig, Giving Children a Reason to Sing. So Munting Tinig is actually a movie, a very old movie, and it was also about social work as a teacher who helps students aspire to be more than what they already are. So when we had our profiling last week, we realized nga daghan jud kayo og need og tabang dito. The children were in a very difficult circumstances, but unfortunately our funds were very low. We had a hard time gathering for their food, for any donations. And this upcoming Christmas, where we promised to give them temporary relief. And so we hope that through your kind hearts, we will be able to receive any contribution, no matter how small or big. And I'm sure it will make a very huge difference. Thank you.
So we have our donation channels to be posted in the UP Cebu University Student Council page later. But for now, if you have any donations in hand, you may give them to Athena and the UP high school students. And for the in-kind donations, such as clothes, food, canned goods, personal care kit, rice, and water, you may drop them off at the UP High School Cebu, which is at the different side of the campus, or in Sitio Mabuhay Chapel, Barangay Luz, which is near Landers, Mabolo. So thank you very much, and please don't forget to contact them or reach them outside the venue later on.
Thank you. So now, as we continue to push for our demands as one UP community, let us all together sing the UP Naming Mahal. Ngayon ay lumalaban.
Now, as we conclude this momentous UP Cebu Student Summit 2023, we extend our deepest gratitude to everyone who participated, contributed, and engaged in these critical discussions.
So let us carry the insights gained today into action, fostering a community that advocates for academic freedom and the right to education.
Remember, our collective strength lies in our unity and upholding the principles of justice, human rights, and freedom. Thank you very much for attending, everyone.
With that, we officially conclude the UP Cebu Student Summit 2023. Mabuhay ang Scholar ng Bayan!